Hi there, I'm Chris Rizzo from Daily FBA Finds, and I'm going to walk you through how to add a new product variation to an existing Amazon listing. And we'll actually do a walkthrough so you'll actually see the process. So let's start out by asking why add a new variation to a listing. Alright, so this is actually pretty common to do when you're sourcing. The reason is oftentimes you're going to find an item that already has a listing on Amazon, but not for the color or let's say the size you have. So for example, you might find some shoes, and up there on Amazon you find the black shoe, the white shoe, and the red shoe, but they don't have the blue shoes up there yet. And there's no inventory for that. So what do? How do you get yours in there? Well, you kind of have to work with the system a little bit and do a little kind of trickery in the Seller Central area to get your variations recognized and add them in there. And when I say trickery, this isn't like something that Amazon doesn't approve of. They actually taught me how to do this myself, but they don't have like some nice easy button to push, and all of a sudden you get to add your variations. You kind of have to go through a little process, but it's not too difficult. And so the other great reason to add a variation is because if you're the only one selling that variation, you have no competition. So if you found the blue shoes and everybody else is selling red, white, and blue, red, white, and black, let's say, and you're selling blue now, you're the only one doing that. And so you're going to get all those sales. And it's possible somebody else could come on that listing at some point, but it's not usually terribly likely. Alright, so let's talk about the overview of the steps briefly here. There's three main steps. The first thing is you've got to collect some data. So you're going to need to find the UPC codes for each of the variations you're adding, and you want to jot down the sizes and any colors as well. So for example, if we were doing shoes, let's say somebody's selling already on the listing blacks, whites, and red shoes, and you found the blue shoes, then you'll want the UPC code for your blue shoes ready to go. Now the other thing you need is you need a UPC code for one of the variations that's already being listed. Alright, and the reason we need that is because we're going to use that UPC code to kind of tell Amazon where to put your variations. Alright, and you'll see how that makes a little bit more sense when I do the walkthrough. Now the tricky thing is sometimes you don't have the UPC code for, let's say, the black shoes. You've got the blue ones and you see that UPC code on the box, but you don't have the black ones anywhere and you have no idea what the UPC code is. Nice thing about this is you can actually contact Amazon and they will give you the UPC code. So if you call them or just do a quick chat and say, hey, can you give me the UPC code for this particular item, just give them the ASIN if you can, or just give them the listing and say, hey, I want the UPC code for the black shoe here. They'll just pretty much instantly give it to you. And then you've got your UPC codes. All right. So keep those handy. I usually write them down in a Word document or a text document real quick, and then I can copy and paste as I'm setting these up. So the second step is you're going to go into your Seller Central account, and under the inventory menu, you'll see the Add Product link. And if you've spent some time in Seller Central, you've probably been to this before. You can look up any UPC codes here, ASINs, and that sort of thing. But anyway, we're going to be creating a new product listing under that page. And there's going to be a couple of form fields we need to fill out, and we're going to add our variations there. You're really just filling out minimum amount of information. And then finally, when you're done with that, you submit that, and Amazon is going to ask you to combine what you just added into the existing listings. There's usually going to be at least one and sometimes more, and I'll show you how to combine those. And what that will do is it'll match your variations and bring them into the listing that you're trying to target. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and stop here with the PowerPoint slides, and we're going to go ahead and jump over to Amazon, and I'm going to give you the walkthrough. So I'm going to take some time to show you exactly how to add a new variation to an existing listing on Amazon. One of the reasons you might want to do something like this is because you found a new variation you were sourcing and you found it, but it doesn't already exist on the listing, and if you go ahead and sell that product under that new variation, you'll probably be the only seller for that item for a long time, and you won't have competition. That's especially true in shoes. We see that all the time. And the example I'm going to walk you through today actually is a shoe example. All right. Now, you may have heard or you may have thought that in order to create a variation, you've got to upload a spreadsheet into Amazon. And that's only partially true. There is a way to do that process using a spreadsheet, but it's kind of complicated, and in most cases it's totally not necessary. If you're doing retail arbitrage and you're not uploading hundreds of items at a time, you're just doing kind of onesies and twosies, maybe a handful of items, there actually is a way to do that through the Amazon Seller Central system. Now, Amazon doesn't make it like super easy. There's not like one button that says add variations. There's kind of a little trick, but it's pretty straightforward once you get the hang of it. So that's what I'm going to walk you through today, that easier variation of doing this. Now, the example we're using is the Reebok Men's Z-Pump Fusion Running Shoe. I've actually got 4 of these right here next to me that are a completely different color than what Amazon has here. Amazon does have a bunch of colors, but they don't have the color I have. All right, and let me kind of give you an overview of what I'm doing here. In order to add my variations, I have to start with an existing variation. Even though I'm not selling it, I've got to find an existing variation, and I've got to know the UPC code for one of those variations. That's probably the trickiest part of this process, because you might not have a UPC code because you might not be selling that variation, right? So no sweat if you don't have the UPC code, then call up Amazon, let them know what you're doing, and they will give you a UPC code for one of the existing variations. All right. So in this case, the existing variation I'm going to use is this Neon Cherry Gravel White. And this is the UPC code, and that's the size for the UPC code. Okay. That is already being sold on Amazon right now. So actually, we'll even go check. Neon Cherry Gravel White 11.5. Let's hop back over here. There's my Neon Cherry Gravel White. And you'll see there's 11.5 right in there. Okay. So I'm not selling that color, like I said, but I still need it to make this process work. It's kind of like you got to trick Amazon into accepting your variations by feeding it an existing variation which you're not really selling. Okay? Hope that makes sense. So this is my existing variation, and then these are the ones I actually want to list and sell. This is the new color, gray, red, white, black, silver. Okay? I've got those here, but it's not on that listing yet. So that's the basics of it. I've just kind of set this up so you could see this in this document, and because it's easier for me to copy and paste from here, because I'm going to need all this information in a minute as I'm walking through this. So once you've got this data, the first thing you want to do is head over to Seller Central. So I've gone ahead and I've got my Seller Central account open already in here, and you go to inventory, and add a product. All right. That's the page I'm on already, actually. So what you're going to want to do is you want to create a new product listing. Now, you're not really creating a new listing, but it's going to sort of seem like you are, okay? We're going to kind of trick Amazon. So once you get in here, you're going to want to pick the appropriate category for your shoe. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this video and go ahead and take a minute to do that. Alright, so I've gone ahead and I've selected my category here. This always takes a couple minutes because you got to find the best fit. And that's all you're trying to do is find the best fit. It doesn't have to be perfect. In this case, I know I'm selling Reebok's running shoes, and this just seemed to be the best fit for me. So I'm going to hit select here. Alright, so now I'm on the forms here where I'm going to do most of my work right here. All right, and mainly we're just concerned with filling out a couple things here, some of the required items. All right, we don't have to fill out everything. And again, we're going to be using the example existing variation to kind of get us kick-started here. The first thing I want to do, oddly enough, is scroll all the way to the bottom, and for variation theme, I am going to pick size and color. And honestly, what that does is it changes some of the settings up here. So if you fill this out first and then get down here and then change this, it kind of messes this up. Why Amazon did it this way, nobody will ever know. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and grab the product name. I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste this. All right, drop that in there. Now it says it wants pump to be lowercase. That's fine. I'll just do that, make it happy. Oh, I think it wants the Z caps. All right, there we go. Brand we know is Reebok, not a problem. Department we know is men's because these are men's running shoes. Now for the color, you can pick anything you want. It's not going to matter. We just need to give it something. So I'll give it black. For the material, again, pretty much you can pick whatever you want. It's not really going to matter. I'm not exactly sure what these shoes are made out of, but let's just say it's synthetic. And that is it right here, okay? That's all I had to do. Again, this really doesn't matter all that much. Let's hit next. So now I'm on the variation screen, okay? This is where I'm going to enter my existing variation plus the new ones. And I'm going to do that right in these fields here. Now, as I type in these fields, you'll see some new ones show up, okay? That's so you can add all the different variations that you're creating. So all we're going to need to do is enter my existing variation. All right, so let's go ahead and grab that. So here is the color. All right. And then I forgot what the size was. It was 11.5. Okay. And now I'm going to put in my other color. This is my new color. All right. I'm not going to need this other field really because I just have these two colors. And then I got to get all the other sizes I'm putting in. I'm putting in a 10, 11, 11.5, and a 12. Okay. So I need my 10, my 11, and my 12. Because I've got my 11.5 here already, because my existing variation is also an 11.5. Now, if you put it in there twice, it's not going to matter, but you only really need it in there once. So what it's going to do is it's going to create all these different variations, including my new one, which is the trick. So now I'm going to hit Add Variations, and boom. So you can see it's created all these different variations of the shoe. Actually, a couple of these I don't really need. So let's see. My existing variation is just the Neon Cherry at 11.5. So I need this one. All right. But I actually don't need this one. And I don't need that one. And I don't need that one. I need that. I need that. I need that. And I need that. Those are my four other shoes. Plus my existing variation. Okay. Awesome. So in here, we're going to put just a little bit of data, just a little bit, not much. We want to mark each of these shoes new. Presumably, you're selling new shoes. You should be. And we want to apply a quantity of 1 to each one of these. Okay. You don't technically even have 1 or 2 or 3. It doesn't really matter. I just need to give it some quantity, or else it's going to throw an error on me and say you got to put in a quantity. The other thing we're going to want to do is give it a price. So I'm just going to make up a price. Let's say $45. Now all this stuff can be changed later. Your quantities can be changed. Your prices can be changed. The reason we're doing this is just so we can get those variations in the system, so we can then post items to this listing. All right, I'm looking at my data, and this is all I need. All this other data here, condition, these other things that. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. I do need to put the UPC code in here. So let me go ahead and grab that. Okay, so my UPC for my cherry is that. So my UPC for my 10 is that. My UPC for my 11 is that. Got 11.5 right there, and then one more, my 12. Bingo. Okay. Good thing I didn't forget that. If I did, it probably would have yelled at me. Let's see here. I don't believe I need a seller SKU in here, so I'm going to go ahead and hit Save and Finish. All right, awesome. Now, once we're on this screen, this is good. What we want to essentially do, this looks complicated, but it's not too terribly complicated. What we want to do is if it throws this up, we want to hit Combine Details of both products in all cases. Okay, so anytime you see that, you want to hit Combine Details in both products. Do not use these options. All right, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to hit Continue. And that's just because it found an existing listing. That was the reason it did that. Alright, so what will happen now is these variations will show up under your manage inventory listing. Alright, it usually just takes just a couple moments to show up, and I'm actually going to pause the video and go ahead and refresh this page and see if I can't get them to show up. So hang on one sec. Alright, so I refreshed and bingo, my new shoes are showing up. So there's the one that was the existing listing. Alright, and I'm going to set this all to 0 because I don't really have any of that inventory. And I'll come over here and hit save. Because I'm not really selling these yet. I haven't entered them into the system, so I don't want to say that I have any inventory. I just needed to do that to trick the thing in the first place. Okay, so in this case, we weren't lucky enough that there was an existing sort of listing, an old listing that nobody was selling on that had pictures in it. So when I uploaded these new variations, there's no photos for that shoe. So what I will have to do is I will have to edit the listing, and we'll have to add some photos. And I can get those photos from the site that I sourced the shoe from. So it's a good idea to save those photos. If you know that the variation doesn't exist on Amazon, just go ahead and save those photos off the site you're buying the shoes from, or whatever product you're buying, and save them because you might need them at this point. And in this case, I do need that. It goes a little bit beyond what I want to show you guys today in terms of setting up these listings, but we've really completed what we needed to complete here, which was we got the variations into the system. I can now post items to these listing variations, and you'll see that they do have their own unique ASINs now. And that's pretty much it. That's the process. Again, you will have to add those photos, but that is not a huge big deal. It's really as simple as that. So, I mean, the first time you do this, it might seem a little bit awkward and confusing, but it's a pretty straightforward process. I just wish Amazon would make it easier with like some directions and, you know, a nice one-click add your variations here type button, but they don't. So that's why I'm doing this video for you guys. If you need any help or you've got any questions about this process, feel free to drop me a line. You can go to fbadailyfinds.com/support and just simply leave me a note there, and we'll get back to you usually within the same day, if not 1 or 2 business days. All right. Again, I hope this was helpful to you, and thanks for watching.